subgiants. Now, after a star had gone through its main phase, in which in the inside it was hot enough with 10-50 million degrees Celsius, where two hydrogen atoms are having overcome their electrostatic repulsion, and they were able to stick together and forming that way helium. Now it had ended because the hydrogen in the center all had fused to helium. The hydrogen left, and there wasn't enough power, enough pressure from the outside, enough heat to make the same number for helium, to press two helium together, but it isn't working. So the hydrogen is used up, fuel is gone. What happens now? It falls together. By this stellar nuclear synthesis, when the two hydrogens were pressed together, there was at the same time an outward force happening, bringing that star, that sun, into a hydrostatic equilibrium. So there was the same pressure basically from the outside with the gravitation as there was from the inside out through this fusing of hydrogen to helium together. Now it doesn't happening anymore, and the star is collapsing on itself basically. But there is still hydrogen in the outer surfaces of the star. Only the hydrogen in the center was used up. On the outside it is still there. And now it falls together. And now during its falling together, the hydrogen from the outside comes closer to the center. And it is able then, because it's closer to the center at hotter regions, to do again our thermonuclear reaction. And the hydrogen of the outside comes a bit to the center, two hydrogen coming together, and we're creating again this outward force. So the core is shrinking and also heating up, and the outside is technically also shrinking, but because when there is happening that thermonuclear fusion, the stellar nuclear synthesis, two hydrogen, one helium, it is expanding. So the core is shrinking and the outside is expanding. And it is expected to last by the sun for 700 million years, this phase of the core shrinking, heating up. Overall the star gets cooler, but the outside is bulging up, and the sun is expected to reach the 3 times its size through that. And that is according to Mark Egalik's Cosmic Manicory book on the page 42. If you click this video away, then please tell me what the reason for it was, so that I can improve. Otherwise, hi and welcome, I'm trying to learn Heliology, today subgiants, and after we've done with it, we're gonna do standing yoga. And if you participate in this standing yoga, then it's at your own risk. Subgiants, growing old. Once a star begins to run out of the hydrogen gas it needs to generate its life-sustaining nuclear reactions, it is on dangerous turf. And I think there was said that the hydrogen inside is pressed together to form helium. And with helium, that nuclear fusion, that has a strong outward form. And that is the counterpart against the strong gravitational force pulling it stronger together. Now the hydrogen is used up, where all the hydrogen, or the one in this core, has been pressed together to helium, it has burned up, whatever, and now there's no force to the outside anymore. It's now on dangerous turf. Its long period of stability on the main sequence ends and death is near for a star. The problem is helium, the product of a star's hydrogen reactions. Helium ions carry 2 times the electrical charge of their simpler hydrogen counterparts. In order to fuse helium ions in a nuclear reaction, they have to move much quicker than hydrogen ions to overcome their mutual electrostatic repulsion and bond. In other words, much higher temperatures are needed to fuse helium than to fuse hydrogen. So when the hydrogen runs dry, the nuclear reactions in the star's center turn off and gravity takes over. The star's core, lacking its internal pressure source, starts to shrink. So all the hydrogen was pressed together. Hydrogen has 1 proton and 1 electron. They are pressed together, and now we're having 1 element with 2 protons and 2 electrons. And that is, per definition, helium. Which is just how helium comes from. It is no helium. But helium, you cannot just take 2 heliums, press them together and make them a 4 out of it, whatever now the 4th element would be. It doesn't work. The pressure is not high enough, whatever. The temperatures are not high enough, it doesn't work. And there's now, if it were fused, there was a strong force to the outside. The strong isn't anymore, and it collapses, it shrinks, it presses it stronger itself to itself. However, this renewed contraction brings a new brief respite. While the star was on the main sequence, it depleted the hydrogen in its core, but not those regions above it, unless the star is or was a red dwarf. The gravitational squeeze therefore brings the fresh unused fuel into the core region, where it is hot enough to react, Once again, the star is stable, converting hydrogen into helium in a narrow shell on the outskirts of a dead, reactionless helium core. Normally, there's so much pushed to the outside, or that thing is so big, or whatever reason you couldn't find it out. There's a lot of hydrogen everywhere in the star, but just the one in the middle was pressed together and has fused. The hydrogen at the outside of the star, there's not enough pressure to press it together to helium. So it's just there. And for some reason, that at the outside doesn't end up inside. So the star collapses before it has used up all its hydrogen. Now, when the star now shrinks, it comes at the end of the day still the hydrogen into the center. And now there's something happening. The core region where it is hot enough to react. Once again, the star is stable, converting hydrogen into helium in a narrow shell on the outskirts of the dead. In a narrow shell on the outskirts of a dead reactionless helium core. In the core, all the hydrogen is used up. There's now just a lot of helium. There's nothing happening. And there where the core is around it, at these outskirts, there is still hydrogen fusing to helium happening. As a result of this new period of thermonuclear frenzy, the star's outer layers expand with the renewed energy pouring into them. So wherever this hydrogen is fused into helium, there's a force of expansion. Normally it is just in the center and it's just expands where whatever now happening, I don't know what happens, maybe that makes the star burning, I don't know. But now it's not happening at the center. The center is dead. It's just standing there, but at the point, and the outsides are pulled in. And that point where the outsides finally come close enough together with enough pressure, but not at the center, they are starting now to fuse to helium, and now the force to the outside is not happening at the inside, but here at the side already. And it's expanding here, and the next part is already here expanding, and so on. And that whole star, I'm looking into the wrong camera, that whole star is expanding. While the core continues to shrink, the star as a whole grows gradually larger and cooler. At this stage, astronomers call the stars a subgiant. The thing grows larger and larger, but also gets colder. Subgiants constantly evolve and expand, while their cores contract and heat up. Contracting and heating up. Because they're contracting, there's no force much to the outside, they're still contracting. It happens further at the outside, but still is the core contracting. So it happens, the core is contracting, the outside is expanding. And they're heating up again. And for a star like the Sun, this phase is expected to persist for 700 billion years, with the star swelling to 3 times its main sequence diameter by the end. So the center is pulling stronger together, but the middle parts are expanding, and it is expected that the Sun, the ones which is at the Earth with humans on it, will do it at some time, and that whole period where this will happening slowly will take over 700 million years. Eventually though, even the hydrogen shell is exhausted. So they say the hydrogen in the outside shell is not used up. Now we're saying a lot of it is at least used. How much is the amount? Is it just 1%, or is it a lot? 700 million years sounds like a lot. Would be interesting. Is it in the total amount more? No, we're saying it gets cooler, so it is less. So it must be way less. Imagine if hydrogen is proportionally everywhere spread, whatever, proportionate. And just in the core is it used up. And the sun is burning for 10 billion years. And for just 1 billion year, or 700 million years, it is burning. And the whole star gets cooler. That means that it's just a small amount of the hydrogen used for it. And technically, the amount of hydrogen must be at the outside way much more, if it's proportionate. Because the surface is just way bigger. I just would like to have a tableau with what percentage of hydrogen is way used up and what time it is. Eventually, though, even the hydrogen shell is exhausted, and this triggers another crisis. The star is then poised for its most dramatic metamorphosis today. So we think gonna have very dramatic metamorphosis. And it was a Helioscience one. If you were here for Helioscience, you're going already to the next part of Helioscience. If you stay here and participate in the standing yoga, then it's very honest. The feet are standing together and we're breathing in and we're doing the eel swings. Out and down. In and up. Out and down. In and up. Out on to the side. In and up. Out on to the other side. In and up. Make an inch of space between the feet and open again to the side. In and up. Come up onto the tiptoes. And out and out. In and up. Out onto the side, down with the heels. In the heels again, up. Out and down. In and up. Out the hands down, lean onto the knees. Breathe in. And out, make a hill with the back. In into the middle. And out the belly. In into the middle. And out the belly. In into the middle. Out the belly. In middle. And out comes slowly with the round back up. Back at the top of every shoulder. Breathe in, lift the arms up. Come up onto tiptoes. And breathe out, heels down, feet together, again down. Breathe in, bend your right leg. Breathe out, stretch your left leg. In, change. Out, stretch your right one. In, change. Out the left one. In, change. Out the right one. In into the middle. And out just down. Lift the right hand up to the sky, breathe in. And out, bend the left knee, look to the right hand. Breathe in, hand down. Out and down. Breathe in, left hand up. And out, bend the right knee, look to the left hand. In, hand down. Out and down. Make a hand with space between the feet. Shift the weight to the heels. And breathe out and sink down. Breathe in. And out, breathe out, up. In and down. Out and up. Take out on the elbows and gently drop from side to side. Again down with hands, feet together. Breathe in, halfway up, straight back. Out and down. In and up, straight back. Out and down. And again in and up, hands up and down. Toes up onto the outside, we're having an ulnar space between the heels. Breathe in, lift the arms up. And breathe out and sink down into the garden pose. Breathe again in, straighten up. And out and come with the back up. Breathe in. And out and down. Breathe in, straighten up. And out come slowly in one straight line upwards. Hands down and breathe again in and out and sink down. Breathe again in and out with the back up. Breathe again in, out and down. Breathe in, straighten up and out come slowly in one straight line again up, and this time the hands down. Have feet standing together and intertwine with, have the feet standing shoulder wide apart, intertwine the fingers behind the back, bring them over to one side, breathe in, hold up, and out, bring the head over to the side, where the hands are, chin down onto the clavicle, pull the arm and the shoulder down, breathe out, in, lift the gaze, out to the other side, hands out to the other side, breathe again in, out, chin down onto the clavicle, pull the arm and the shoulder down. Breathe and lift the gaze back into the middle. Feet are standing together. Breathe one hand behind the back. Breathe in the other arm up. And out. Head over to the side. Down. Pull at the head. Breathe again in. And out. Look to the hand on top of the head. And again. Hand behind the back. Breathe in the other one up. Out and over. Breathe again in. Out. Look to the hand on top. Breathe in the hands up. And out and back, draw the shoulder blades together. In and up. Out and down. In and up. Hands together and lean back. In and up middle. Out and back again. In middle. Out lean to the side. In middle. Out the other side. In middle. Intertwine your fingers. Breathe in and reach high. And breathe out. Reach in front and hold of the back. Head down. In and up. Intertwine the other way down. Out in front. In and up. Out lean with long arms back. In and up. Out and back. In and up. Out the hands down. Breathe in the hands up. Out and down. In and up. And breathe in the hands up. Bring the hands to touch and lower them down to heart center. That was a standing yoga. I thank you very much in it.